Welcome to Intentionality with Paul Kempff, the podcast and YouTube channel where we explore the possibilities and opportunities that can be created by living a more intentional life. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, please follow us, please share the episode links with your friends and family so that we can reach more people and impact more lives. This is episode 39 of Intentionality with Paul Kempff, and as you might have guessed, I am not Paul Kempff. I am Keanu Kempff, and I am a part of the production team here at IWPK. And if you have not yet done so, you should go watch episode 35, where we've introduced some of the crew that's part of the IWPK team. And I'm very happy to be on the famous blue couch, presenting and being the host of this episode. We did decide to do things a bit differently. I'm not just responsible for the sound of the IWPK, but that is my background. I studied sound engineering, and I am also the son of the host of IWPK, if you have not guessed it yet. And today, we decided to do things a little bit different. I will be hosting this episode of IWPK, and I will have an interview with my dad, the brilliant host of the show, Paul Kempff. And in case you were wondering, yes, he is paying me to say that. So welcome, Paul, to the famous blue couch.
It's awesome to be here, my son, especially sitting on this side.
Now, I'm sure it's very interesting. It's nice being the host for a change, being in front of the cameras for this time. So, why did you decide to let me interview you today?
So, various reasons. First one, we've been doing the same thing for 38 episodes, and I want to keep it interesting. I didn't want to let it become boring. We've been doing the same thing for such a long time that I thought it would be an interesting change to get somebody else to host and to do an interview with me. It would give me an opportunity to feel what it feels like to sit on this side in the first place. And in the second place, it would give me an opportunity to make you a little bit more uncomfortable. For all those times that you've been critical of the way I say things and the way I frown and the way I don't smile enough. So I just thought, let me make it a little bit more uncomfortable for you as well. Make you feel what it feels like.
I must say it is quite a lot of pressure being on this side of the couch for a change and being the host. I thought it was going to be quite easy. I already had everything in my head planned out, and as soon as I started, I realized this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. But I am glad to be interviewing you, and so that you can get a feeling of how it is to be the interviewee this time.
I just want to add one other thing that's important. I did give somebody else the opportunity to be the host, and they said no, they weren't brave enough. I asked Chanel if she wanted to interview me, and she said absolutely flat out no, she's not going to do it. So thank you for being prepared to do this. Thank you for not being scared or not being too shy to do this.
Of course.
So I appreciate it. It's nice to be here with you, my son.
Yeah, of course. Me too. Well, let's get into the questions. My first question is quite a funny one, but obviously my sister, she lives in Cape Town. She hasn't had the opportunity to be on the famous blue couch yet. But how do you think she feels about the fact that I've now been on the show twice and she hasn't been on it yet?
Incredibly jealous. I was in Cape Town recently. I saw your sister, Tiani. We celebrated her birthday. And when she heard you were going to be on the couch for a second time, she was not happy. She said to me, what does she have to do to be on the couch? When can she get an opportunity? So I told her there's two things that needs to happen. First, I don't want to make an episode with her over Teams or anything like that. I want her to be sitting here on the famous blue couch. And secondly, she must start thinking what she wants to talk about. So yes, she's very jealous of the fact that this is now your second opportunity on the blue couch.
I also just realized that I think I'm probably the first person since we started IWPK to be, I guess, the second person on the couch.
Yeah,
am I not?
Absolutely right, 100%.
So that was also an interesting thought for me, and I do feel honored. I must say, it's very nice to be back. So I'm glad you asked me to be back.
Good.
So let me ask you, why did you decide to start a podcast at the age of 51? I mean, you have a lot of things going on in your life right now. So what made you decide to take on this big challenge in your life?
It's a great question. I don't know how you come up with these insightful questions.
What can I say?
No, I'm just kidding. So here's what happened. It's a bit of a longer story, but I think it's an important story. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine when I was 49. It was not long before my 50th birthday. And we had a conversation about success. And this person asked me a very direct, very specific question. They said, have you reached your goals by the age of 50? And I said, well, obviously not all of them, but at least a lot of them. So I feel that I have reached a certain level of success in my life. And then they said, so what's next? I said, what do you mean, what's next? I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And then we started talking about the fact that a lot of people, when they get to a certain age, and 50 is kind of that milestone, it's kind of like a place in your life where it makes you think about what you've done in your life and what's next.
Definitely.
And a lot of people at age 50 starts thinking about, but what else is there to life? You know, obviously success can be measured by wealth. Success can be measured by the quality of your relationships, by your health. There are so many things that you can measure success by. But one of the things that one starts thinking about at 50, and this person reminded me of that, is what is your legacy? What is it that you're leaving behind one day when you pass away? Now, obviously, the privilege of having children, of having you and Tiani, means that I will have a legacy. What I leave behind are two children that is my legacy. And it's a legacy that I'm very proud of. But the question really that this friend of mine asked me was, but what else? Because yes, we are building a successful company that I'm very proud of. We're creating opportunities for lots of people through the FFG group. We're helping lots of people in the FFG group. But even that is not something that is necessarily my legacy. I didn't start the company. And I really started thinking about what is it that I can do to leave a lasting legacy. And I think I've told you before, it's been a big, hairy, audacious goal of mine for a long time to actually do something like a podcast. And the combination of the big, hairy, audacious goal and this conversation around legacy with my friend, I just got to a point where I said, listen, I can't wait anymore. I have to do this. This is going to be part of my legacy. I'm going to try and build something through Intentionality with Paul Kempff. And yes, despite the fact that my life is very full, my life is very busy, it is something that I'm very passionate about, and that's why I started it. Simple as that.
Wow, inspirational.
I do want to just add one other thing. I recently read a book, and in that book, the book was written by Salman Khan. He's the founder of the Khan Academy.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have, yes.
And in that book, it's called Brave Words, he speaks about AI, but that's not the part that I want to talk about now. He talks about AI and the influence of AI on education.
Yeah.
But in the book, there's a very specific quote that I really, really liked. And I hope I get this quote right. I'm not even sure if I'm going to get it right. But what he said was, he was quoting somebody else. And what this person said was, the man who plants a tree knowing that he will never sit in the shade of that tree, starts to understand the true meaning of life. And I think the point being, leaving something behind, doing something that might not necessarily benefit you, but that will have a bigger impact on humanity and on life. And he speaks in this book about the fact that his wife at one stage asked him, what is it that you're going to do with your talents and your experience and your knowledge and your education to have an impact on humanity, to leave a legacy? And he, of course, started the Khan Academy, which is obviously going to be a huge legacy that he leaves in the world. And I found that very inspirational.
Well, I do think it's very interesting, in my opinion. Great answer, and I really did enjoy listening to what you had to say. But it also made me think of, you get to a point in your life where you've now reached, 51, decided to start a podcast of your own and trying to leave a legacy behind, And I think in life, maybe, you should think about that as going through life as well, being myself younger as well, thinking already now that, what legacy can you leave behind? The earlier you start thinking about that, the earlier you can start implementing it in your own life, and most of our viewers and listeners as well. I don't think you have to be 51 to decide to leave a legacy behind, but I don't think it's ever too late. And I think it's very inspirational that you decided to at the age that you are now, and how busy you are as well now, that you still decided to keep going at it and trying to leave something behind as well.
Absolutely. Before you go on to the next question, I've just thought of something. You've just created this vision in my head of something that can be your legacy. I've just thought of it.
Yeah.
I would love it if one of the things that creates a legacy for you, Keanu, is if you write a song. I know you've already written a song, but if you can actually get that song released and out into the world, I mean, that could be a legacy for you.
Definitely. I think it's still part of the plan, so, look out for it, but definitely, I think, very inspirational. Thank you. So tell me, what are you trying to achieve with IWPK? What's the goal?
Okay, so initially, in those first episodes that I released, I spoke about the goal. I spoke about the intention behind Intentionality with Paul Kempff. But I want to change it a little bit. I want to just maybe delve a little bit deeper into why I started this. So the obvious first answer is the legacy part, which we've already spoken about. The second part is impacting people's lives, changing people's lives, helping people to live a more fulfilling life, helping people live a more intentional life, a more positive life, reaching success, reaching goals. And it's really something from personal experience. I mean, you've been a part of it. You've been part of my life. You've been there for the journey. And it's something that I have noticed in my life. The more intentional I am, the more things I can achieve, the more success I can achieve, the more personal growth I experience in my life. And I just wanted to share this with people. I wanted people to become aware of this. Having a million views on a podcast or a YouTube channel would obviously be fantastic, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal will be to reach people, to have an impact on people, to help people to change their lives. And the thing that I have changed a bit is initially in those first episodes, I spoke about creating a community of intentional people, creating a movement around intentionality. Now, that's a lofty dream, and I haven't given up on it. Something that might still happen, but I've really come to the point now where I've decided that if this podcast can change one person's life, can impact one person's life, I've achieved something. That's good enough for me. I'll always try and strive to achieve more, to reach more people's lives, to change more people's lives. But if I can know that I've fundamentally impacted one person's life, that'll be good enough for me.
That's brilliant. I mean, I do think you saying that as well. I think there are some things that you can definitely be proud of. I mean, you said it's not about reaching a million people necessarily, but maybe even just changing one person's life. But you've actually, in my opinion, I think achieved that already. We've had people on this podcast now that has contacted you, that has told you what type of impact it has had on their lives as well. That they listen to it, their wife listens to it, and they try and live a more intentional life. We've had guests now on the podcast where, you don't even know them from any side, where they want to contact you and become a part of this community. So honestly, I think you can already be proud, because I think you've changed more than just one person's life with this podcast. And let's hope that it will reach a lot more people, and that we can actually build this community of people living a more intentional life. And I like the fact that you use the word intentional as well. That's very good.
Thanks, Keanu.
So tell me, I think I actually know the answer to this question already, or at least a little bit of it. But has the podcast gone the way you thought it was going to go? Is it going as planned? Or tell me a bit about that.
No, not at all. It's gone a completely different direction from what I envisaged when I first set out on this project. It hasn't even come close to meeting the targets that I've set for myself, the goals I've set for myself. And that is why I find myself in a place where I'm really contemplating the future of the podcast. What are we going to do next? What's this podcast going to look like going forward? And in the next episode, in episode 40, I will expand on that a little bit. I don't want to give too much away today.
Okay.
But yes, it's just, I felt that it should have achieved more already.
Mm.
It's not that I'm ungrateful for what we've already achieved and the impact that it's already had, but I just had this dream of reaching so many more people and reaching so many more people. So yes, it's not achieved what I wanted it to achieve. And then there's something else which I actually found very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I've discovered in this process, getting to 38, 39 episodes. And that is that we often have this view of ourselves, of our abilities, of what it is that we can actually achieve and how good we are at things. I did speak in one of the previous episodes about being an arrogant arsehole.
Yes.
You've heard that episode.
I did, yeah.
You think that you can achieve something amazing, something great, and then it doesn't happen. When I go back to those first few episodes and I listen to it, I cringe at the quality of those episodes. Not the fault of the production team, completely the fault of the host and the content that I created. But you do realize that you have to then just bring down those expectations a notch of what it is actually that you can achieve. You need to make peace with the fact that you're not yet Joe Rogan, somebody like that.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I don't think I've necessarily achieved what I wanted to, but I'm maybe too hard on myself. I don't think it's been terrible.
I don't think so either, and I do agree. I do tend to agree with you that I think you are a bit harsh on yourself, because I do think the podcast has grown a lot since the first few episodes, as you know. And, you are intentional about trying to keep the quality the best it can be. And I think there's something inspirational about that. And whatever you do decide to do in the future of the podcast, I think you're leaving behind a great legacy. And I think you'll be surprised at the amount of people that want to keep listening and that would like to hear more about how they can be more intentional in their lives.
I hope
so. Thank you for that answer. I appreciate that. So most of the time when you have a guest on IWPK, you usually ask them the same 3 questions. I'm going to put you on the spot a bit here, and I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions, see how it feels. So the first question is, what are you passionate about in your life? What gets you up in the morning? What puts a smile on your face?
So those 3 questions...
Before you answer that,
okay,
I know one of them is golf.
Of course, yeah. You knew golf was going to be part of the answer.
Of course.
So those 3 questions I came up with, I designed them, I've used them in the podcast a lot of times. What are you passionate about? What makes you get up in the morning? What is it that put a smile on your face? And again, I think for a lot of people, it's similar things. It could be exactly the same things. It could be slightly different things. But I think those type of questions helps you to understand the motivation that a person has in their life. What is it that motivates them? Now, in my life, I think it's similar to a lot of aspects of my life. I think I've got too many things that I'm passionate about, too many things that make me get up, too many things that put a smile on my face. But if I can just highlight a few of them.
Please do.
I think the first and most important thing that I am passionate about is helping people, making a difference in people's lives. That's why I enjoy mentoring so much. That's why whenever somebody comes to me and says, Paul, I'd like to make an appointment with you and just discuss with you a few of the things that have made you successful in your life. I'd like some help around mentoring or coaching.
Yeah.
I almost inevitably, even if I don't have time, say, let's find time, let's make time. Because that's something that I've really, really gotten to enjoy. So it is something that I'm very passionate about, is trying to help people. And again, it's something I'm trying to do with this podcast. Something else that makes me get up in the mornings is my work. And it's such a cliche. I know that. And a lot of people will say, yeah, whatever. But I cannot think when the last time in my life I had to get up in the morning. I get up early in the mornings.
Yeah.
Where I had to get up early in the morning and go to work and dread it or feel negative about it. It's just one of those things where I am privileged enough to have a job that I can be passionate about, that I can get up in the mornings and go to work with a smile. So helping people, the work that we do at FFG, the work that I do at FFG, things that I'm passionate about, that makes me smile, that gets me up in the mornings. And then, of course, there's a lot of others. Knowledge, learning, reading. That's something I love. Especially when it comes to the knowledge thing. I've discovered something new that I am enjoying so much. And it's something that the two of us can share.
Yeah, what is that?
It's these quiz nights that we go to at railways.
Of course, yeah.
So we don't go every Wednesday, but we try and do it on a regular basis.
A lot of fun.
Where we go to railways and we participate in general knowledge quizzes. I love those kind of things. I'm so passionate about it. And then obviously golf. It'll be rare on a Saturday morning that you won't find me on the golf course at Waterkloof here in Pretoria with the golf nuts. I love playing golf. I love spending time with my golf friends. I love going on golf tours. That's also something that I'm really, really passionate about. And then the last thing that I want to mention, I'm really passionate about my family. My wife, my kids, my wife's family. You don't have a girlfriend at the moment. I don't know what the problem there is, but we're not going to discuss that today.
Please don't.
My daughter's boyfriend, Rory. I love spending time with people that are close to me. I love spending time with all of you. Those are kind of the things that I'm passionate about that puts a smile on my face.
Thank you. That's very interesting. I also just want to touch on, because I think you're one of the rare people in this world that actually love what they do in their work. I don't think there's a lot of people that can get up in the morning and truly be excited for work. But I must tell you one thing. I think it's about being intentional about what you do and how you go through your day, about the perspective. So I think for a lot of people as well that don't necessarily enjoy what they do, it might just be a mindset thing, it might just be something that you have to work on and just get up and, try to look at the day a little bit different, try and find the joy in it. I think that's important, and I like the fact that you touched on that. I don't think there's a lot of people that really enjoy what they do, and I think it's inspirational that you do. And other than that, good answers, enjoyed it thoroughly, so thank you for that.
Hold on, before you move on,
Yes.
You will not believe this. I forgot one of the things that I'm the most passionate about.
Please tell me.
And I please want to just end off this answer by including that, because it would be terrible if I forgot to mention that in the interview today. I am absolutely passionate about movies.
Of course.
And again, it's a passion that the two of us share. And you, me, and Tiani, all three of us, we love movies.
Definitely.
We love going out, going to watch a good movie, having a burger and a beer together. It's a passion that I share with both of my kids. And here's the thing. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it started. But it's almost just a passion for movies in general. Yeah. Any movies. I love watching movies. Obviously, I love watching good movies, inspirational movies. But it's just something that I really, really enjoy in my life. And I didn't want to forget about that.
Not mention it. I agree. I think it's very important. It plays a big role in your life. And, that obviously means it plays a big role in my sister and I, we plays a big role in our lives as well.
Yes.
And there's a lot that I can say about movies as well. I actually just had a conversation this week with one of my friends about movies and, going in depth about movies and what makes a movie good, what makes it enjoyable. And I don't think this is the right podcast to talk about movies as much as I would like to. But I've heard some rumors here on the Blue Couch that some of the crew here at IWPK might start their own podcast and talk a little bit more about movies. So I think for all the listeners here, might be something to look out for and go watch as well. I've heard some rumors of maybe you being a guest as well on it. So I'm not saying anything yet, but I think it is definitely something that's very exciting and something to look forward to.
You've put them nicely under pressure now.
I think I had to. I'm under pressure, so I think it's just fair to share the load a bit here.
Yes.
So with Intentionality with Paul Kempff, I think there's a burning question for most of our viewers and listeners. It's called Intentionality with Paul Kempff. Now, there must be some things in your life that you are intentional about. Can you please share with us some of these things that you are intentional with in your life?
Yeah, it's very simple. And it's a very quick answer. Go and listen to the previous 37 episodes. Because I think what I've done in the first 37 episodes is really try and find ways of communicating what it is that I'm intentional about. What are the things that I, from personal experience, think has changed my life for the better? And if you utilize these small pieces of advice that I'm giving you, could potentially change your life as well. So it's a host of smaller things. There was an episode where I talked about tools for a more intentional life, where I spoke about reading, getting up early in the mornings, saying yes more to the right things, saying no more to the wrong things. I spoke about meditation. I spoke about journaling. There's just so many things in my life that I'm absolutely intentional about every day. The one that I've spoken about probably the most is exercise.
Of course.
Trying to get people to understand what a positive contribution exercise can make to your life in so many different ways. I think the list is too long. I'm just going to say, go and listen to the first 37 episodes.
I think you answered the question well, but just on a more daily, weekly, monthly basis, what the things that you are intentional about, how does that help you to grow, to stay positive, to still reach the success you are?
So here's the interesting thing that happened, and I'm going to speak about it in the next episode again. We had to update the content of the website, which meant I had to go and review the first 37 episodes that we had done. And the simple exercise of going and looking at what we have done so far reminded me of everything I do to be intentional every single day. And what's very important about all of these things is the connection. If you start exercising more, you create time, for example, to listen to podcasts. Because when I run, I listen to podcasts. Listening to podcasts get my thoughts going around things we have to change at work. It creates topics for me for discussion on the podcast, content that I can create for the podcast. It's as if all of these small intentional things I do every single day, getting up early, reading, keeping my mind busy, exercising, all of these things kind of is like a puzzle that you put together. And all of these pieces fit together when you are intentional about everything that you do in your life. So really, it's not just one thing that I do every single day. It's about everything I do every single day. And the episode 34 that I had with Thornton,
Yes.
He actually shadowed me for an entire day.
Wow.
And he's just written an article that is published on LinkedIn where he spoke about some of the things that I do intentionally every single day. And I think people can go and read that article as well to find out more about what I do every single day.
I think that would be very interesting. I think we'll probably just put it somewhere in the episode as well, where people can go view the article as well. I'm sure people will enjoy it a lot. And I do think as well, you say it in the podcast almost every time about an intentional journey. And I do think that's important to as well to think about, is that it is a journey. I don't think anything of living an intentional life is something that happens overnight or just in one day. I think it starts with small changes in your life that can help you grow and start to live a more intentional life. And it is a journey to get to a point where you can actually live an intentional life.
Absolutely.
Even if it is just small things, though.
Absolutely.
And you know, as I'm sure you know, we end off every episode with a tip of the week, and I would love to give it to my very brilliant host, also the guest of IWPK, to maybe give us a tip of the week for this episode.
Yes. I'm going to give you 2 tips. You're not going to like the first one. I know that for a fact. It's a serious one. It's a deep one. It's not just for you. It's for your sister as well. It's for everybody of your generation out there. But I am going to balance that out with a nicer tip, one that you will like more, that has obviously something to do with movies. All right, so let's do the first tip. The first tip is simply this. Listen to old people more. There's wisdom. There's experience. And I know the younger generations are not going to like what I'm saying here now. But there's a lot of things that you can learn from old people out there, old people like myself. I still have to do an episode on generations. I must not forget that. That's something we've said we're going to do somewhere. And the differences between generations. I mean, when I spoke to Marco, we kind of touched on different generations, but I really want to delve into this whole thing of generations. But it's something that I've experienced in my life as well. When I was in my early 20s, I thought my parents, I didn't have to listen to them. You know, they didn't really know what they were talking about. But as you get older, you realize that there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience in what older people can teach you. So my tip would be, listen more to your old men, listen more to old people with experience, and learn from their mistakes, learn from their experience so that you don't have to make the same mistakes in your life. Also on that point, very importantly, it's something I've read recently, and I really, really like this. Read more history than forecasts or predictions, because forecasts and predictions are often wrong. But history can teach us valuable lessons that we can use to anticipate what's going to happen in the future and to handle things that are going to happen in the future. Because there's not just lessons in the past, there's also trends and things that repeat in our lives, where we can take the lessons from the past. So in short, listen to your old man more.
I do agree with that a lot. I must say, I do tend to agree with you that I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from history. I must say, though, that I think the generation episode is definitely going to be an interesting one, because I think we can definitely say a lot as well about different generations and the roles that each generation plays, which I've also realized in my life, meeting more generations, more people, and it's interesting, I think. I think you are right in what you say. I think a lot of things are different, but I think there are some words of wisdom that people can take to heart.
Good.
And what's your next one?
Okay, the next one is obviously a movie.
Yes.
One of my favorite actors in Hollywood is Al Pacino. He's made some truly great movies, but my all-time favorite movie of Al Pacino is a movie called Scent of a Woman. Now, Al Pacino has had a few famous scenes in movies. He's done a few famous quotes and speeches. I think one of my favorite speeches of his is in Any Given Sunday, where he talks about the inches. I can't remember if you've seen that movie.
Yes, of course.
But my all-time favorite scene of Al Pacino is in Scent of a Woman. And it's a scene where he is sitting with Chris O'Donnell on the stage, where Chris O'Donnell is being accused of certain things, and he's there to help him. And that scene, to me, is incredibly powerful. But the important thing I want to take out of that scene, and that I want to turn into a tip of the week, is that scene for me is an example of how someone that feels they've reached a point in their life where they cannot make a difference anymore, they cannot mean anything for people anymore, can find meaning, can find purpose. And it's actually such a beautiful scene in such a beautiful movie. So my tip of the week would be, if you haven't seen the 1993 movie Scent of a Woman, find time to watch it over the weekend. It is incredible. It is an awesome movie. Have you seen the movie?
Of course, yeah.
Wonderful.
Brilliant movie, brilliant. I would also recommend watching it. It's definitely worth the watch.
So that's my tip of the week.
And that's it for today's episode. Thanks, Paul, for giving me the opportunity to be the host on this week's episode. I really enjoyed it, I must say, and I enjoyed having you as a guest. And I don't know, if things keep going the way it is, there might be a future for me to be a host in the future soon.
Only once I've retired.
Yes, of course. I won't take the spotlight from you just yet. And then other than that, thanks to our production team for all the hard work behind the scenes. And thanks to our sponsors, the FFG Group, for their continued support. I firmly believe we are continuing to build something worthwhile, something impactful, something that will create a movement and change lives. All that's left for today's episode is to congratulate yourself on making the choice to live a more intentional life, to be the architect of your own life, your success, and not just let life happen to you. May the rest of your week be an intentional, amazing journey.